Hey there. I want to talk about deep learning, this book by Ian Goodfellow, Joshua Bengio, and Aaron Courville. Sorry, usually you just read it as a book by Ian Goodfellow, but I wanted to mention the authors. Um, I love the book. It took me a while to get into it. I think it got at the perfect time because the book definitely is not a getting started book on deep learning. It's actually pretty dense. It's difficult to grasp, and not because they don't do a great job at explaining things. Actually, it's amazing how they take all this information and condense it in a book. However, it has a lot of theory, a lot of maths, a lot of algorithms. It's not a step by step guide on how to implement these ideas, these models, these algorithms. It actually doesn't show any code. There's some pseudocode here and there for some algorithms, but in reality, I see it more as a way for the reader. At least it worked for me this way to build a mental map of the different ideas, the different solutions, the different things that you need to know, at least to know they exist in order to understand somehow deep learning. Because being totally honest, I had to backtrack multiple times to reread and understand or try to understand better because the things in there are quite complex. I don't even think I learned maybe more than 1% of what's in there. However, the value for me and I think for most people will be to have these multiple like tools that you can then reference whenever you encounter a problem and you're wondering, okay, how do I solve this? Oh, I remember there was this function, this technique, this model that approaches the problem in this way, and they found it works or it doesn't work. At least provide some kind of guidance. That's to me the main value. It has three sections. The first is the basic concepts, the essentially math and machine learning basics. The second part is the modern practical deep learning or networks. And finally, they go more into the deep learning research, cover a lot of ground in there. I love the book. It's funny that I feel it's probably the most difficult book that I've read, but at the same time is one of the books that I enjoyed the most. As I said, I even had to take one day of work just to be able to concentrate, which doesn't happen a lot because if I'm reading something, I want to concentrate, but I'm okay switching context just to let my brain rest a bit. In this case, I really felt I had to focus. And yeah, it doesn't have like code or hands-on stuff. It's mostly a reference to build intuition about math, algorithms, ideas. And lastly, I want to mention how I got into the book. And it was on my to read list for a while. For one way or the other, I didn't really prioritize it. Then I released this list of content that I've been reading and researching, etc. I'll put the link in the description. And when I shared that, I think it was on Reddit. Someone said, "Oh, why aren't you listing this book?" And then I went to the Austin Public Library. The book had like 17 people in the queue to get the book. So I said, okay, I'm gonna queue up, and then whenever it's my turn, I'll read it. But I just tried recommending I recommended the APL team to purchase another copy of the book, an actual digital copy of the book, and they did within 24 hours, which I'm super glad they did. And then I started reading it. It took me a long time to read, but yeah, just wanted to give my thoughts on the book, not necessarily on what's contained in there. I'm for sure going to keep going back to the book. There's a free version of the book which is web based. So I've read some books this way, but definitely I prefer the having the digital book over the web or HTML based book. So yeah, if you have the opportunity, take a look. I, however, wouldn't recommend going and reading if that's your first approach to deep learning or AI in general. Might get too frustrating and confusing. I think maybe for you not. But yeah, I'll list some other references in the description that I think will be best to read first before jumping into this book. However, yeah, please take a look if you're interested in this, and thank you.